tips and tricks, if you're fairly new to the inspection industry, which is, I find it to be pretty awesome. And there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of tips and tricks. And I just want you guys to know that this is just kind of like a guide to help you start, but not necessarily how it needs to be done. You can go based off of this, kind of like a training video for you as an inspector, and to the normal public out there too. We can help you guys out with with your first purchase, or whatever you're going back to buying a new car to you, but it's a used car. And you can see if there's any kind of damage, potential structural damage and stuff like that. So today we're gonna kind of guide you through that. Alright guys, for this part of the video I'm gonna make a voiceover just because there was a lot of commotion going on around, and it was super noisy, kind of hard to hear me, and then just a lot of commotion going on. Anyways, so this to start off was a walk around of the Hyundai Elantra, 2015 Hyundai Elantra that I was inspecting at the moment. The car was fairly good shape, not major damage, just a little bit of cosmetic damage. So this is going to be a walk around of what is going to go on throughout the inspection, or how I can help and assist you guys. From here, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a rough idea of what the car looks like, so you can kind of place yourself there, and just to give you a good visual perspective. But to start off, I usually start off with my my front right apron, and I make my way over to the left one. Here we're looking at the spot welds, any turned bolts, the baffle, your front right rail, and your left front rail, your left baffle and apron, strut tower, checking for any turned bolts, along the sides, including your hood, because you never know where all the damage is at. Checking both that there's no scrape paint off those bolts, because usually factory keeps them fairly straight. Now we're going to transition into your firewall, checking that the edges are not super rough. Now, given that some factories do leave a little bit of roughness, but not too much. If it starts to feel like sandpaper, then you might want to look more into it, just because you never know. Sometimes these are repainted panels, and it can lead to some bigger damage. So I like to check my edges around the the fender liner, my doors, under my doors, the drip rails. But bumpers aren't a major issue sometimes, but sometimes you can see the little bit of damage. You can see what the car's been through, if it's been repainted, how many miles it has, all that stuff. But yeah, I start off my inspection at the front, make my way around the left or the driver's side, bring myself over, to kind of check do a rough assessment of it. All the way to the back, check all my spot welds, my weather stripping hasn't been moved or oversprayed, any of the edges, because sometimes you can see it, you can feel it, and it looks different to the eye, and sometimes we don't catch it, but our gut's telling us that something's wrong. But for the most part, this car was in really decent shape. It had some dings, some dents, not much, a little bit of scratches in the front bumper. But sometimes the other thing that you want to check for is to make sure that your core support is not welded and is bolt-on. If it's welded, you might want to double check it, because that can cause it to be structural damage. in some cases, not all cars. But in this case, this car has a bolt-on core support, so you really wouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, if it was replaced or not. Um, you got to check your seam sealers. Make sure your spot welds are all there, perfect. That they weren't re-welded or something. Once they have been re-welded, that means that the car was fairly damaged or had some type of high damage. But yeah, you want to check your A pillars, that which run up to this point right here. And then you also want to check your weather stripping, check your drip rails. You do have some braces that run through the top and the front, center, and the rear, which are part of your structural components. It's rarely, to go to the dealership and really find a car that's been in a rollover. They will not sell it to you. These cars are, fairly decent, in decent condition. So yeah, but you also have your rocker panel, your inner rocker panel, your center left and right rail. This right here that I'm showing to you is your C pillar, which it runs up to there. And then in some cases you have a D pillar when it's an SUV. But yeah, in this case you don't, because it's a unibody structure car. You can have a hatch too, some hatches. But now I'm gonna show you a little bit under which is called the floor pan. That which is attached to your both left and right rear rail. That you also want to check for. There's also spot welds on there that are from factory. But yeah, here, right under here is which you can't really see in the video, but is your left center rail. Sometimes they can have a kink, that can affect the structure of the car. And right there where I pointed is just about where it finishes at, and then you come to the back and you have your both of your left and right rear rail. But yeah, these are structural components. As far as like some of your cars, like your quarter panels can be structural, depending, like if it was repaired and it wasn't replaced, then your car's still in good condition. It just has a previous dent or something that they wanted to repair, so they repainted it. But if it was replaced, then it has already been tampered with. Now here in the video I'm walking over to the front so I can show you guys the turn bolts, if there's any kind of turn bolts, what it look like in your those are your spot welds. There's your bolts. Make sure there's no paint chipped off of them, as well as your hood, just to see if there's any kind of previous. There's your seam sealer. This seam sealer is factory here, so there's nothing to worry about. And that would be your right apron. You want to check all your spot welds, as well as just like you're doing on the right, you're going to do it on the left. Make sure there's no kind of previous repair on it. You see all that is factory so far. Filling the edges as much as possible, trying to find that rough edge just in case it is previously repaired. Come in here, check your A pillar, check your weather stripping, make sure there's no inconsistencies in your spot welds when it comes to your A pillars, B pillars, C pillars, D pillars, inner and outer rocker panels. It's easy to pull the weather stripping back and just double check. It's not something that's out of this world. Anybody can do it. You go in here, you check, make sure there's a consistency in your spot welds. That there's not, like, if you know about welding, you'll be able to tell sometimes that how a spot weld looks compared to a regular handheld weld. And make sure there's not any spot welds missing. Here I'm just telling you about your outer rocker panel, where it can't really be structural. It's just it's part of that exterior cosmetic part. But yeah, here's your drip rail. You want to check all that. Make sure there's, as you can see in the video, there's a consistency in spot welds. There's an even amount of it. And then here, this is where your cars get clamped to get painted. There's always that little spot. Not always in every car. Every car is different how they clamp them and paint them. But in this case, that's where the paint's gonna be missing, and that's still factory, that it hasn't been tampered with. And as we go through the video, I'll be able to show you again where the other clamp mark is at. And here I'm still showing you, there's a consistency of spot welds still. They're not missing. There's nothing wrong with pulling your weather stripping. You can see here the little paint clamp mark missing, where the paint is missing. It's easy to reapply this weather stripping, so don't be afraid when you're trying to buy a used car to pull that weather stripping, just because it will save you from, financially, from making a financial mistake for buying a structural damaged car, which can take a hard hit when it comes to resale value. Here I'm explaining how some of these cars can have a little bit of a clear strip on there, and it can trick your fingers. So try to check under your doors at the very bottom, on the edges, inside the gas cap, the gas cap lid, or the gas lid. You want to check in there to see if there's any kind of roughness too. Some there's slightly rough, but not major. Any kind of clear overspray, you'll be able to see it there. Not a lot of people can get away with painting a car and not overspraying any of that. Here I'll show you what else. There's a little bit of damage on this car. It's this doesn't it won't make it a structural. It's not a structural component if it doesn't get replaced. Unless it gets replaced, then it's a big problem, because then it's altering your structure of the car, and it can fail in case of an accident. But always check your edges, check your spot welds. Here I'll get more in depth. Compare it, the left to the right, to see if there's any kind of inconsistency. I didn't mention the rear body panel before. So your rear body panel is also part of the structural component that keeps the structure part of the car into one, which is the unibody. Here I'll lift the rear to show you that your trunk floor, or your trunk pan, or your floor pan also has spot welds on it, and you can tell sometimes if it's missing on one side. Sometimes they'll be covered up with factory rubbers like this. Doesn't mean that it's been replaced or anything like that. But that just shows that the car's still good. Here I'm showing you the rear brace. It's really rare to see any kind of damage on there, unless it's been hit really hard in the rear or something. Then it can buckle and something like that. But otherwise, no. Always feel your edges. Touch every edge of the car that you can, just to make sure that there's no kind of paint work. And there's also other tools that you can use, like a paint meter to feel it, to check. But not everybody can afford a $200-300 paint meter, and you don't want to buy the cheap ones just because you don't never know if it's going to be accurate or not. But again, just like you did the left side, you do the right side, and you compare it. Take your time in this just to check. I'm flying through this inspection just because I previously inspected it before the video, and I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of the left side, and then the right side is just a quick inspection. I already know that there's no any kind of damage or repaint work on there. I'm feeling my edges, checking my pillars. There's no there's a little bit of cosmetic damage, scratches, your regular stuff. Nothing major, But yeah, this will definitely be something that can as a consumer or a just starting off as an inspector, can help you start off your career if you like working with cars and finding out and investigating what happened to the car before. I do this as a a report for all these dealerships to help them sell these good looking cars, and but yeah, that's a rundown of the inspection. Hope you guys like it. There's more right a little bit after this, so hope you guys enjoyed. I will be bringing more videos to you guys as far as doing inspections and different cars and different situations, so you guys can see that not everything is what it seems like, and sometimes we don't see the kind of things that we should be seeing. But yeah, that's definitely, sorry guys, I'm driving and recording, which I shouldn't be doing, but I'm fairly doing about 5 miles an hour, so I can't really vouch for that, or not vouch. I can't really make an excuse for that, but I'm not speeding or anything like that. I'm just driving around the lot. I'm actually at a dealership doing this inspection. Acura of Tempe, really good guys. They always try to do their best job. And I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not any kind of thing. The guys down here are really good. We're in Tempe, Arizona at the moment. And I go all over the state to do these inspections and these assessments. If you guys have any questions, if you guys want to give a follow, a like, leave it below, and the link below. I mean, not the link below. Put a thumbs up in the below, and a like, or a follow, a notification. I don't know how to do this YouTube thing, guys. I'm still learning. I'm just here to help you guys out with what I do, and be trying to help out the consumer, new inspectors, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And if this video helps you, then I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job correctly. Let's put it that way. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my video and my information. I will be bringing more content and explaining to you guys what more. Not the inspection I did was fairly clean. There's more cars. There's more content as far as like what are sand marks, or what do they look like, where to find them, how to find them, what are fisheye, dirt, turn bolts, and I'll show you what I'm talking about little by little, and video through video. So I appreciate you guys sticking through this and watching it and giving it a like. So hope you guys enjoyed. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much.